Hello, welcome to the Opinionistics. I'm your host, John Milone, and we'll potentially have co-hosts joining us. Let's not go with the flow, I guess, like we always do. So introducing from Virginia Beach, James Hill.
Hi, how's everybody? Or if it's just me and you, how are you?
Well, going great, I guess.
That's
So, fabulous. So what do you do exactly?
exactly. I'm a multi-genre author, so I write books in fiction, adult crime fiction, fantasy, and sci-fi. I also publish books. I'm an independent publisher, so not only do I publish in those three genres, I also publish romance and women's fiction. My latest author is Patty Lee, and we just released a book called Between February and November for her. So that one just came out last week. Yeah, last week. So, and beyond that, I'm also a programmer, software engineer.
Okay. That just came out of the blue. Software engineer. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I
What
do
kind of,
many different things sometimes.
oh, okay. And how long have you been doing that for, software engineering?
Oh, that got to be at least 20 years or so now. Probably longer than that, but officially something like 20, somewhere around 20, 25 years. I say officially because before I was doing it unofficially as either a um, financial, financial, whatever you want to call it. I worked in banks and things like that. So I did some software development there, but that wasn't what I was paid for.
All
So
right.
now I'm being paid as a software engineer, and it's much more lucrative.
All right. Sounds good. And what's your favorite part of being a software engineer?
Writing code, sitting there, and when you get some problem to solve, and you want to develop an application or something, and you get all this uh, aspects of it and criteria that the software have to do, it comes to me. A lot of time I sit in there on, well, I hope I could sit in there on some of the development aspects of it, so I could tell them what's possible, what's impossible, and what's nearly possible. And then, of course, it comes to me, and then I sit down and write the code and make it work. So everybody thinks computers are these wonderful things that somehow have the brain inside them. No, I'm the brain inside some of these things.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. In terms of being an author, how many books you've written so far?
Okay, I got 6 in publication and 2 more that I'm working on now, and a couple more that's still in my head. But I have the Killer series, which is a 4-book series about the mafia and crime families and gangs in New York. And I just finished that series. So it's Killer with the Heart, Killer with 3 Heads, Killer with Black Blood, and the one I just finished this year, which is called Killer with Ice Eyes. So as you can see, there's somewhat of a theme running through all the titles.
Okay. Yeah, I can certainly see that. Where do you see yourself 30 years from now?
How many years?
30 years.
30 years from now? I'll
Yeah.
probably be dead. Or I would have cracked the secret to immortality.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm 65, so 30 years from now, I'll be pushing up daisies. Well, no, because I'm gonna have a Viking funeral, so I'm going to Valhalla.
okay.
But if I crack the secret to immortality, then I'm living forever.
Okay.
Sorry I'm
Sounds cool.
late.
It's all right, Faithy. You joined just in time. Do you have any questions to ask James in terms of being a software engineer or an author or anything?
Like, what is your proudest moment when you started your career?
Uh, my proudest moment is probably when I published my first book, because it was something I've been working on and wanted to do for a good 20 or so years. And I wrote Pegasus back in the 80s. And so I finally got around to getting it published and publishing it like 2013 or something like that. So having written the story way back then, and then finally get into the idea of, okay, you know what? I'm just going to publish this thing and getting it out there. And it was well ahead of its time when I wrote it. So a lot of the things I wrote in Pegasus, which is a sci-fi, dystopian sci-fi, are coming true now, like 3D printing, multinational corporations, the fact that we're now in a global economy, those kind of things was not thought of or did not happen back in the 80s and 70s. And so my vision of the future has come through in some cases, and in other cases, let's hope it doesn't.
All right then. What would you choose as the eighth wonder of the world?
The eighth wonder of the world. That's interesting. Let's see, the eighth wonder of the world, huh? I have to think about that for a minute, but I would say probably communication, like satellite communication, because since we started with the space program and we have satellite communication now, we can see what's happening around the world instantaneously. You know, almost second by second, something happens and you know about it way on the other side of the world. And think back 50 years, 100 years ago, it took months for information to get out, even big information to get from one place to another. And now, and that shapes what happens in the world. You know, when these things come out, and I'm a product of the 60s and 70s. So when the Vietnam War came out, and well, it was already going on since, then. But when they started putting newsmen out there in the battlefield with the soldiers and everything, and you actually got to see what happened during war, because they had that in World War II and everything, but all that film and everything was gone over and sanitized before it was put out to the public. This stuff went out live to the public every night on the evening news, and people seen the horrors of war, and they said, hey, we want no part of this. And it changed the way the war was fought, and it actually brought the war to an end. And we see some of that happening now, where things are being shown immediately, and you get the reaction, instantaneously. So I would say communication is probably the eighth wonder of the world. Telecommunication.
Fabulous. Very conceptual.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you have a question, Faithy?
What is the book you had the most fun writing other than Pegasus, or is that the only one you made?
No, I wrote 6 already and got a couple more in my head. I think the one that with the Killer series, book number 2, which is Killer with 3 Heads. And the reason why I say that, because the whole Killer series actually revolves around that story. And that's the story I thought of first when I started to write the Killer series. So I wrote book 1, Killer with a Heart, so I can get to book 2. And then book 3, Killer with Black Blood, and book 4, Killer with Ice Eyes, was like the culmination. So I had book 2, Killer with 3 Heads, as the center of this story, and everything else flows around it. So if you wanted to read them, you could read 1 and 2 first, or you could read 2 and 4, or you could read 1 and 3. If you didn't read all 4, you probably wouldn't want to read book 4, Killer with Ice Eyes, without reading book 2, because the stories so closely correlate to each other. And the same with book 1, Killer with a Heart, and Killer with Black Blood. You wouldn't want to read Black Blood before you read Killer with a Heart, because those two stories correlate tightly together. So I would say book 2, Killer with Three Heads, is the centerpiece of that series.
All right then. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Oh, night owl. I'm an insomniac. I don't go to sleep until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning most mornings.
So,
Yeah, I've always been nocturnal.
I guess the more nocturnal you are, the more creative you are.
I'll go with that.
You know, but unfortunately, I had to start taking that nighttime medicine to help me go to sleep due to my routine. So,
No, I
yeah,
don't take anything to help me go to sleep. I just go to sleep when I run out of gas. Well, this is an interesting fact. When I was writing, when I'm writing some of the books, I used to put the Cartoon Network on, and because
Yeah.
I wouldn't start writing until like 12 o'clock or so, and I would put the Cartoon Network on because I wasn't really interested in the cartoons that they were playing at that time. Mostly with anime, and but each one is only a half an hour, so I was able to time myself because I also have very poor concept of time. So I would be able to time myself, and I would know when it was coming close to bedtime. So I wouldn't be up, to 5 o'clock in the morning or something, then have to get up and go to work. So I wrote a lot of stuff during the night and with these things playing. And then I started getting interested in anime, which became a problem. So it's like, okay, I can't watch anime anymore because some of the stories were interesting. And it was like, all right, this is going to interfere with my writing. So I then had to turn things off, and then I would just set my clock on my phone to beep at like 3 o'clock, because by 3 o'clock I have to be in bed so I can get some sleep and be up the next morning.
all right then. That's yeah, I love it. Great. So I was thinking, if you had a song for every time you enter the room, what would that song be?
Okay, it would be definitely Led Zeppelin. Well, no, actually, I'll take that back. Led Zeppelin would be my exit song. My intro song would be Jimi Hendrix, Voodoo Child.
oh no.
You know that one?
I know a lot of classic rock, and yeah, I know that, but I know that song, but I haven't heard it in a long time.
Yeah. So that would probably be my song to come in by. And leaving, my exit song, it's a toss up. Well, no, I think Since I've Been Loving You would probably be my exit song.
Fabulous.
I'm a rock and roller to heart.
I love rock and roll myself.
Oh yes, we all
I got
do.
a question. Where did you get your name, Faithy?
That's yeah, it's basic. It's after my father gave me the nickname. Every time when he would call me up, it's like Faithy, Faithy. It's like, okay, it's stuck in my head now.
Is it short for like Faith or something?
Yeah, it's a knockoff my real name. My real name is Faith, but my father's
Okay.
like Faithy, Faithy. It's like, okay, it's my username now.
Nice. I like it.
Thank you.
Me too. What wastes the most time in your day-to-day life?
What wasted the most time? Let's see. Me, I waste a lot of time. just procrastination. I work really good under deadlines, close deadlines. So if I have too much time to do something, I probably won't get it done until the last minute, that type of thing. So I can find a lot of ways to waste time.
Yep, that is so me. What really needs to be modernized at this day and age?
Transportation. We really need to modernize things like cars, energy. You know, we got to get off of gasoline. We got to get off of oil, because not only are we going to run out of it, sooner or later, and probably sooner. It's also bad for the environment. You know, I just heard today that at 12 o'clock today, we hit 8 billion people. I don't know who was born at 12 o'clock, but Mr. 8 billion or Mrs. 8 billion was born. And so we really need clean energy, renewable energy, and we need really better transportation. And by better transportation, I mean, car accidents. The fact that we still have car accidents is ridiculous because we could have software in the car that will avoid an accident, and they're starting to put that stuff in cars now, but that they're doing it reluctantly and they're trying to charge it out and all that kind of stuff. So those type of things, those type of technologies, if the people would actually put them in and use them and start using. I just put solar panels on my roof, by the way, and not because I really need solar panels because I don't use that much electricity, but it is better for, if everybody got solar panels, if we got off of gas and oil and things like that, then we might have a future in this world. Because if not, we are burning the candle at both ends. And we will see some drastic changes coming along. Read Pegasus, you'll see what I'm talking about. Things will not get better if we don't do better.
Exactly. Yeah, we need to change it. It starts now.
Yeah, we can't keep waiting. We can't keep waiting for the next, for next year, next decade. We have to actually start making the investments and start start convincing people, because basically you do have to convince people, and the people you have to convince sometimes, like I had the conversation multiple times, especially here in America. Everybody thinks of America as being one country, but we're not. We're 50 different countries, and you can't tell the people in West Virginia that you're going to cut off coal. That's their livelihood. So you got to be able to give them something else that they can do. And you can't say, well, you're going to go over here and because now you tell them they have to leave their home to go somewhere else to make money. No, you got to find something they can do where they're at that's going to do as well for them as what they got now. Same thing with oil. You can't just tell people, hey, we're going to cut off oil. We don't want any more oil. Well, yes, the guy who's at the top of the country making billions, he's going to be okay. But what about the people who are drilling it? What about the people who are processing it? What about the people who truck it from place to place to fill up your car? What about the guy who, all these other things that are downstream from this has to be taken into account and have to be planned for. You have to plan for things like that. Look at communication. My mother, at one point when she was a young woman, very young woman, worked for the telephone company as an operator. I dare you to find one operator in the United States now. That industry had completely changed, but it didn't change overnight. And those people who were operators probably had to move on to something else and find other things. And so we have to look and plan, what are we going to do to come off of oil, come off of gas, come off of coal? What are we going to do with the people who depend on this for their livelihood? And I'm not talking about the guy who owns a company, because he'll be fine. These people are making billions of dollars. They'll be fine. I'm talking about the guy who goes to work every day, taking his lunch. He's not going to be fine. And you have to, and those are the people you have to, provide for and find something else to do. And not everybody could become a computer programmer. Not everybody can, shift from one thing to another. Like they say, oh, well, we can retrain them to do, X, Y, Z. Well, are they qualified to do X, Y, Z? Do they even want to do that? That's another thing. Not everybody wants to go to work in an office or something, So you have to take in the human account of what these people want to do with their life and give them the same quality or better quality of life than what you're taking away. And believe me, these things are going away. So you have to plan for them if you don't want major upheavals and major problems. All right, let me get off my soap opera here.
It's all right. It's a very interesting point you made there, and pretty much loving it so far. So, Faithy, do you have any other questions you want to ask James?
What are 5 things that inspire you every single day?
5 things that inspire me. One thing is my children, who are no longer children. So maybe my grandchildren. That would be number one. I look towards my family and for them to be doing okay and for them to be prosperous, happy. By prosperous, I mean happy in the life that they're living. And that's always an inspiration. Believe it or not, I look towards my government, that we do the right thing, that we elect the right people. We just came through an election, and I'm glad to see that a lot of the people who were taking this country down a very dark and bad path did not get elected. So the government and the people that are not only in the government, but the general population, that inspires me to see that people will pull together and do the right thing, that people can cut through all the noise and all the misinformation and all the lies that people have just not led through by the nose. So that would be 2 things. The government, that people would say, hey, wait a second, we can't do this. We can't have this. We must stand up for what's right. And then the actual population to say, well, we will do the right thing. So that's 2. So that's 3. I don't know. Maybe music, because music and writing. So other authors, writers, because they inspire me to write better, and they inspire me to think outside of what I would normally see when I see other things that people write and or music that people make. They give me ideas, so that's inspiration there too.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. What's your favorite ice cream topping?
Cherry and whipped cream.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a classic.
And I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't eat ice cream too often. I love ice cream.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I love ice cream, but I really can't eat it. But when I do, I throw cherries and whipped cream on top of it. And I mean real whipped cream, in the can, shake it up, that stuff. All of that stuff is bad for me though. So
but we do it anyways because it
yeah.
tastes good on our mouth, but like, no, don't do it. I'm lactose intolerant myself.
Well, have you ever had rum floats?
No, I haven't gone to that stage of life yet.
Well, I started that stage like a long time ago.
I'm on my rosé phase.
But if you mix your ice cream with rum, you don't feel the bad. You don't feel as bad when you drink it. So I found out that rum will take care of some of the lactose in ice cream. So rum floats are great. And again, cherries and whipped cream on top.
Fabulous.
What's your favorite wine?
I don't know. I like a whole bunch of wine. I like all types. So like reds. I guess reds would be my favorite. But I also drink whites. I like Pignon, Sauvignon, So again, mimosas are great. Champagne and orange juice. I'm going to Florida later on this week, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to be drinking mimosas down in Miami. I'm going to the Miami Book Fair. So,
interesting.
Yeah, if you're anywhere near Miami, come see me at the book fair.
I'm like a state and a half away. Let's just say that.
Okay.
What's worth spending more on to get the best?
Say that again.
What's worth spending more on to get the best?
Liquor. Don't buy cheap liquor.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
I don't know, but is $8.50 okay? An okay price for rosé?
Well, yeah. But don't buy a dollar wine because back in the day we used to buy dollar wine and that stuff is pure gasoline. So don't drink that stuff anymore.
Fair enough. And this is coming from the top of my head. Have you heard of a drink called banana frite?
No, what's that?
Well, it's kind of like a milkshake and a smoothie mixed together. And it's banana flavored, of course, because banana frite.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds tasty.
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah, I like smoothies, so
Oh, yes.
make a nice smoothie. And of course, if you're gonna make smoothies, it's bananas, orange juice, and sometimes apple, give it a little grit to it. Strawberries, definitely. And
Okay.
your favorite kind of booze to put in there just to loosen everything up.
Yeah.
I'll probably think I'm a drunk by now.
Oh, dear. If someone wrote a book about you, what do you think its title would be?
He's not really a drunk. He's just no. Let's see. Someone wrote. People have told me I should write my life story, and I keep saying no, I should not. I guess the title would be, "Hey, don't look behind the curtain." That would be a good title for my life story. Don't look behind the curtain.
Okay. I like it. That is all we have for this episode. It was great having you here, James, talking about your work as an author, software engineer, and, well, a lot of other things. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
Anytime.
I appreciate it.
As do I. And until next time, stay opinionated.